I usually say, you see the way you're seeing me right now, and with all my faults, I definitely know you've already picked out so many faults within me as I'm speaking. I'm not perfect, and that's why I'm saying self-awareness or self-mastery is a work in progress that never ends, and that we all just morph into these different people that we are in different levels. We change ourselves, we change interests, we even get new habits and new passions, so we never stay the same. So the thing is, with all my faults, as you can see me, there can only be one Diana. There can only be one Diana in this world. No one else, as much as they want. You can try to change your color, you can try to change your hair, you can try to even do some, surgical improvements to yourself, but your inner being never changes. It never changes, and it can never be replicated. So instead of trying to become this other person that you're not, you can try and work yourself to become whatever you desire to be. The thing I'm saying is this: I see most people, most communicators and maybe leaders and everything, you're trying to embody someone that you're not. You're trying to become this other person, and you're trying to talk like them or have their mannerisms, which is so good sometimes, especially if they're your mentors and everything. There's usually that proximity to success where you find yourself, without even your being conscious about it, that you start taking the same characteristics as those people that you admire. But the thing is, if you can maintain your originality and your authenticity or your authentic self, it will go a long way to help you to grow and to help you to appreciate who you are, and to also help you to communicate effectively and to improve your communication skill in whatever level. So don't try to be someone else. Like right now, if I'm working towards becoming better, I can take different forms, which is okay. But the thing is, I do not encourage you to try to be someone else. Embrace yourself, embrace your experience, embrace your failures, embrace your success. That's what makes you you. And that is the first level of, peeling the first layer, so that we can get to becoming an effective communicator. People will appreciate who you are. People will really love who you are. And that's why it's not always good to lie. It's not always good to be deceitful in any level, because lying means you're trying to cover up something that you don't want reality to be reality. You're trying to switch up things. Okay, so let's look at you're going to ask yourself these 5 questions, 5 self-discovery questions. What are my guiding principles or values in life? These are questions you're going to ask yourself. What makes life meaningful for me? What do I stand for, even when it's uncomfortable or unpopular? How do my actions reflect what I stand for? Are there any beliefs I've outgrown but still hold on to out of habit? So the thing is, we are the environment that raised us. There are so many things that we have picked out from the people around us, from our teachers, from our parents, from our colleagues, from so many people, even our pastors, our girlfriends, boyfriends, relationships that we've had. There are so many things we've picked out as we've grown. But the thing is, you will always have that deeper sense of what defines you. And that is not the same for everyone. That's why you find that sometimes when you start competing with others or competing with people, there's someone who's really struggling because there's someone who's not being true to themselves. It's easy to see someone who's very good in public speaking or very good in their work and desire to be like them. But ask yourself, is that really what success means to me? Success is something that is different for all of us, and you can become successful in whichever area that you choose today to become. So the thing is, are you ready to be true to yourself and to be vulnerable enough to show not just yourself, your family members or your spouse if you're married, your girlfriend, people around you, to see who you truly are? And seeing who you truly are doesn't mean showing your dark side and being all, gothic and everything. Being true to yourself means you are ready to embrace who you are and you're perfect and you feel like you're content with who I am before I start improving. That I have empathy and everything and I can accommodate people, but this is who I am. So your daily self-reflection, from today on, your daily self-reflection will be what went well today and what am I grateful for? Were there any challenges and how did I handle them? What emotions do I experience most strongly today and why? Did my actions align with my values and goals today? Is there anything I would do differently tomorrow to grow or to improve? So the thing is this, we have said you don't have to be someone else, but you can work toward aligning your actions with your values. So the thing you always ask yourself is, does my actions, or do my actions, how do you even put it? My actions, do they reflect the kind of person that I want to be? Every single day, that's the question you ask. Do they reflect the values? Do they reflect what I say I am? Do they reflect the person that in my head I believe I am? Because that's there's usually that four squares of self-awareness, where there's what you know about yourself, is what people know about you, and there's what people know about you that you do not know. So the thing is, can I align with this mental picture that I have for myself? For example, me as a public relations and communication professional, I struggled so much with acing my public speaking skill because there was a disconnect with what was on the ground and who I was in my head. And it's easy for you to know that because you will see the kind of people you're attracting in your life, the kind of opportunities you're attracting in your life. Because listen to this. Sometimes you feel like people do not give you the kinds of opportunities that you want, but the truth is you have not reached the level where you deserve those opportunities. I would say that because there are certain opportunities that I really desired to have in the past, but my boss or the people who were leading me before never saw that I was ready for them. And surely I wasn't ready for them, because I remember the first time I did my first public speaking gig, I failed 100%. I felt like I didn't want to even open my eyes and live for another day, because it was a complete disaster, because I didn't have self-awareness. I thought that just because I have this mental picture of myself, then that is who I am. But I wasn't putting work to it. I wasn't working on it. And the thing is this, if you're always working towards becoming better, whether it's in public speaking or whichever skill, you will definitely become good at it. But not doing anything about it and hoping that it will just come to you naturally, it will remain in your head. It will remain in your head, and that's why you'll always be seeing people who are good at public speaking, who are getting these opportunities that you want, and you wonder why it's not you, why it's never your turn, because you never take initiative. You never take initiative to take the next step to become better at whatever you wish you would embody. So deep questions to ask yourself: are there any patterns in my life that keep repeating? And if so, what is triggering them? This is not just in public speaking. I'll give you an example. So for me, in every opportunity that I was getting, I found myself that sometimes I would not reach the end, and I would ask myself why. Why do I keep on getting these setbacks? And it was a pattern. Then I came to learn that it wasn't just people being unfair to me, but there were certain things that were 100% my contribution. And if you don't take time to do such things, to do such self-reflection, we're just looking at it from a public speaking and communication point of view, but it can go further than that, because that was pegged on my leadership journey. I've always talked about how I have struggled with my leadership journey in the past, and how I had to navigate different team dynamics to reach a point where I can say, it's all good. So how do I usually respond to stress and pressure, and what does this reveal about my coping mechanism? What are my core fears and how do they influence my life choices? This is a very good example. Sometimes you wonder why you are not getting what you want, only to find out later on that there's one thing that you are truly avoiding. Let's take an example of there's a time when I was seriously seeking opportunities, and my biggest fear was I didn't want to be interviewed. I just wanted to get the job. I didn't want the whole interview process used to be a very problematic process for me. And then thereafter, receiving that rejection after that interview process was just killing my whole spirit. So the thing is, whatever you fear, that's why I usually say, for me, actually, I've reached a point where there's very few things in this world that I fear. I don't fear so many things like I used to fear before. So whatever you fear will also determine how you make your decision, consciously or subconsciously. So you really need to get into your head and find out what are these things that I fear and why do I fear them and how is it impacting the kind of choices that I make. And then who am I when I'm not fulfilling my roles in my family, work, and community? So many of us have clinged on to certain things or certain duties that we forget to really nourish who we are as individuals, so that people know you as a mother, people know you as the managing director, people know you as, you know, the philanthropist, but you've never really sat with yourself and actually asked yourself, who am I and what gives me peace and what gives me joy? Because you've always just given yourself away, but you've never really asked yourself, who is this person that I am? Is there anything I need to forgive, either in myself or others, to release resentment, guilt, or shame? The thing is, in this world, as long as you're living in this world, from, you know, the courage to be disliked book, as long as you're living on this earth, you will always experience challenges and problems. So if you live by, you know, having repressed rage, where you have so many unforgiven things, you weigh yourself down, and it actually influences how you show up in the world. So these are some of the questions that I go through them daily. I try my best to go through them. So it's not like I go and sit and get a notebook and go through them every single day, but in every circumstance, in every downfall, in every success, I take time to reflect. I take time to understand, why did I succeed, to understand why did I fail, and to understand how then I can improve. So I've left a reference material there to understand better about this topic, but this is in essence what is in the reference material. Ask yourself this question: this is a personal journey you're taking, you would need an accountability partner, but I feel like if you just take this one day at a time, a step at a time, you will start to uncover the person, the child that is in you, that you have been pressing down, and it is making you to work like a rat instead of working with purpose. So let's move to the next slide. So quote of the week: billionaire businessman and philanthropist Warren Buffett said, "The one easy way to become worth 50% more than you are now, at least, is to hone your communication skills, both written and verbal." He also said, "If you can't communicate, it's like winking at a girl in the dark. Nothing happens. You can have all the brain power in the world, but you have to be able to transmit it, and the transmission is communication." Like I said, if he's bold enough, a billionaire, a philanthropist, like he has reached where most of us want to be, but he's open to say that he once struggled with this. He once struggled to communicate his vision. He once struggled to communicate what he wants, but he had to work on it. He had to work on it consistently, because he understood that to be an effective leader, you have to be an effective communicator. It goes without saying. So that is the quote of the week. You can always go back and check and, keep it in mind. So let's look at the course book, because every course that we do is tied to a book. So this book I read it some time back, maybe that was in 2023, but I really enjoyed reading this book. Why? Because it has everything you need to know about communication. It has everything you need to know about how to communicate, how to connect with your audience, and how to create an impact through communication. So this is why I decided to take this book again, and to finally just squeeze every single value that I can get from this book and share with you my perspective, while you share with me your feedback. Let me also know how you found it. If you haven't read it, you're in luck, because when we're starting this program, you're also going to get started with reading it. So the 16 Undeniable Laws of Communication by John C. Maxwell. This is an amazing book that every communicator, as usual, my audience is usually a communication professional, someone in entrepreneurship, aspiring entrepreneur, and a young founder, because I'm just trying to speak to me in 2023 when I was all confused and I thought there was never a place for me in this world. So about the author, so John C. Maxwell, or John Calvin Maxwell, is an American author, speaker, pastor who has written many books, over 70 I think, primarily focusing on leadership. I have been as a very committed and what's the word? I've been a committed and diligent student of learning about every book John C. Maxwell has written. And I have always been a student of his, virtually. I've read almost all his books, and I admire his leadership style because he lives what he says. And that is exactly what we're going to do with you today and through this course. And by the end of this course, you will be very happy that you started this journey with me. So let's go ahead. So this is going to be, his book is also going to form the course outline. So right now we're looking at introduction, building credibility. So this is what we're going to look at. So we've looked at most of the introduction section, talking about being self-aware and being, mastering yourself first before, that is why even monks go for months and years without seeing people, because they're really trying to, you can't let yourself go, or you can't get over yourself if you've not mastered yourself first. So that's why we're starting with that. That formed the introduction, and then we're going to look at building credibility just a little bit, and then that forms the first module for this program. Then moving forward, we're going to look at selecting your role model and learning through observation, how to spark conviction in your speech, how to prepare for your speaking opportunity, getting support through collaboration, building your content, how to connect with your audience, authenticity is your greatest leverage, building enthusiasm and anticipation, the law of simplicity, using visuals to enhance impact, the art of storytelling, how to read the room and still ace your public speaking, innovation and creativity to remain on top of your game, adding value to your audience beyond your message, then finally measuring your impact. Like I've said, I've already read this book before, and it was quite an amazing one. So if you'd wish also that I can share with you some of the resources for this book, to access this book, whether in PDF or also to access, if you'd even want to go further and buy the book, that would be even better for you. But there are so many ways of killing a rat, so go with the strategy that works for you. So key takeaways from the first chapter of this book, that is building credibility, as I've said, is that you cannot, number one, if you speak words you do not live, you lack authenticity, and your communication will not be successful. So in essence, what we're saying is that you cannot give what you do not have. Like I've said, you cannot become someone else. Don't want to become someone else. Thrive to become who you are authentically and originally. But the thing is, you can always improve yourself. Think about me, for example. I'm a walking example. Initially, I would never even do such things, but it's out of working on myself on a daily basis, because we are all working on ourselves, is that you get to improve yourself. Nobody will criminalize you for being a beginner, or nobody will criminalize you for trying to change who you are and to become a better person. So you cannot speak words you do not live. So in essence, what he's saying is that credibility is about creating this person, or this persona that exists. But you don't want to listen to people. Don't stand in line for theories. They stand in line for people who have experience, and experience is what builds credibility. So that's what we're going to look at. And then the relationship we have with ourselves determines the relationships we will have with others. If we don't accept who we are, if we are uncomfortable with ourselves, if we don't know our own strengths and weaknesses, if we aren't authentic, then the attempts we make to connect with others will misfire. So let's get to the next video.